dependent on this creative engine, and, you know, if it starts to get out of whack and doesn't work efficiently, you think you're in control of this wonderful, enjoyable lifestyle, and there's a sort of moment where you are, but then what happens is that the lifestyle starts to choose you. That's the problem.
To this day, Mick Jagger has to jump through a few hoops when he enters the United States. It involves drugs and his conviction a long time ago. You only had one law problem, right? A marijuana thing that you weren't convicted, right? You were never convicted.
I think I was. It's such a long time ago. I think I was. Every time I come to the United States, I still have to sort of go to the special place.
Really?
Yeah, even though it's 40-something years ago. The marijuana conviction. Yeah.
Really?
I have to go into the room.
You have to report?
Yeah, well, you can't go through the immigration line. So sometimes if there's someone that knows something about how to deal with it, they can do it, but normally I have to go to a special room.
Do you think Lenny Bruce once said it'll be legal someday because every law student I know smokes it?
Yeah, but that never happened.
No.
Well, it's sort of half happened, hasn't it? In legal to grow.
Do you think it should?
Well, the whole question of legalising drugs is fraught with. Someone asked me this the other day, and I said, well, you know, I don't know if I got into trouble because I think, but you know, usually you try these things out in very small places. You know, like. So you try this in, you know, like you try a new product out in a small kind of society or an island somewhere. And in England, they always try out new mobile phones in the Isle of Man. So they've got a captive society. So I said you should try the legalisation of all drugs on the Isle of Man and see what happens. You know, I don't know what would happen.
Do you think it'll ever happen? Ever's
it
a long
might
time.
do. Ever's a long time. People, you know, there's certainly. You know, human beings seem to have a propensity to want to take drugs in some form. You know, for thousands of years, people have taken drugs, you know, whether it's like alcohol, which was invented, 5,000 years ago. People have been using that, and all kinds of marijuana and all these things, tobacco, I don't know how many thousands of years. Long time, I'm sure. And so all these drugs have, you know, been... It seems to be the propensity of human beings to want to use them. So you have to, I think you have to take that as read, you know. But then what do you do when it affects so many people's lives in not a good way, you know? And then also then you get a lot of violence at both ends of the scale. So you get violence in some countries producing country violence, and then you get, which like we have in Mexico now, and then you get violence at the other end of people trying to obtain drugs. So you got that part of it. That's the part that speaks to some sort of legalisation, because that you would hope would help the violence on both ends of the supply line.
When it was in the group and it was famously reported about Keith Richards and the like, did it ever affect your performance?
Probably.
You don't remember?
Well, no, of course I remember. No, but you don't. I don't personally, you know. Like performing, taking drugs. I always think it's better to be not taking drugs or drinking or anything. But that's not saying I've never done it. Of course I have. But I sort of learned, I think, after a while that it was better. It didn't take me that long to realise that it wasn't a good thing. And, you know, taking drugs on a recreational level is one thing, but taking them while you're working on a stage is... You know, I don't think always...
It's a
control factor. And the thing about being on stage, you really want to feel that you're sort of in control a lot, I think, because I don't think you want... It's not a place where you want to be out of control.